Don't Shut Me Down is still on number 2 in the Swedish charts, but another song from Voyage climbed into those top 5 this week. And it's When You Danced With Me on number 5. So let's talk about it. Hey, so When You Danced With Me. This is just such a joyful song, isn't it? And full of gorgeous synthesizers and Irish instruments, or what sounds like that.
The song got this Irish flavor, but the bagpipes you can hear aren't real bagpipes at all, but a synthesizer that is made to sound like bagpipes. You have to listen very carefully and you will notice the difference. It's one of my favorites from the album because it's so energetic, it jumps straight into action. It reminded me of songs like Hole in Your Soul, Dum Dum Diddle, or even Arrival.
Not only with the traditional folk sound, but really with its entire springtime atmosphere, or the mood of a joyful summer tune, which is captured in ABBA's Arrival album. At the same time, that's exactly what really reminds me of Benny's fourth album with his band Benny Andersson's Orchestra from 10 years ago. There he starts off with the title track, a slow number quite similar to I Still Have Faith in You, just with its entire mood, and then he goes joyful and upbeat with the second song, Shara Sister, which opens as if the sun is rising, as if springtime or summer has arrived, quite like When You Danced With Me. And you could really see more parallels between that album and Voyage, especially when it comes to the structure and mixture of ballads and uptempo songs, this complex change in mood from joy to sadness or melancholia. Now, when it comes to When You Danced With Me, there is another great channel here on YouTube called All Kinds of Collecting, who did a great analysis of ABBA's new album. And he pointed out that this song also has some similarities with the Piper from the Super Trooper album, which was also mentioned by ABBA Diego. I certainly agree here, especially when you look at how both songs are structured, and they both have this fulminant ending with a repetition of the final lines. Of course, the lyrics make another kind of connection to the Super Trooper album by giving attention to the city of Kilkenny in Ireland. In Super Trooper, we had Glasgow, which of course is a much bigger place, and from Scotland in the UK. Of course, we have several other cities, towns and places mentioned in ABBA songs. Livingston is one of the earlier ones, which again happens to be another town in Scotland in the UK. And Kilkenny was in fact included here because Björn was so impressed by that place. He said that when he drove around the coast from Limerick to Dublin with his family in the 90s to stop in Kilkenny, he realized the beauty and romance of the city. Castle and churches, the surroundings and the charming villages have stayed with him. If anyone is watching that actually lives in Kilkenny or is from there, please let us know in the comments below. How amazing would that be? The lyrics are actually really sad. They're about that longing for a lost love, for what could have been, but they also have that tiny bit of hope, which is basically almost a painful hope. Could it be you miss the good old times? At the same time, this very line can also be interpreted as another self-reference to ABBA and us. Are we only here for the music? Or because we missed that good old time. And this sadness is, of course, as so often and ingeniously, set to that upbeat and happy music. Now, we talked about connections, the structure, feel and lyrics, so let's take a closer look into what we actually hear. This to me is probably the closest song from Voyage that also could fit for Benny Andersson's Orchestra, and I could imagine them performing it live in concert. I really love the transition from the chorus to the instrumental parts when the drums stop until that great synthesizer melody comes in, and then the drums play a steady beat along with it. That gives it so much energy. And we already mentioned that the song really sounds like a huge soundscape of synthesizers, and it is, but I was also very surprised when I listened to the isolated tracks from the Dolby Atmos mix of the album. There are two things that really stood out for me. The first one is a very prominent E-guitar, which plays notes in a very staccato-like fashion. Take a listen to this. I never heard those before. For me, everything sounded full of synthesizers, but now I always hear it. And then there are Agneta and Frida's incredible vocals, and if you thought they were incredible on the lead vocals, yes they are, but take a listen to the backing harmonies from the rear speakers. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
So we see outside, but as we
sound so crystal clear and youthful here. They sing those unbelievably high notes as if no time had passed. And those harmonies are really out of this world. Finally, it was this song that my favorite director and musician of electronic synth music, John Carpenter, singled out on the day of the album's release. I think it's for all of these reasons that it is a favorite. The joy in the singing, Agneta and Frida's vocals, and harmonies that really make the unmistakable ABBA sound, the brilliant instrumental backing track, and those instrumental sections in the intro and later on between the chorus and the next verse, those great synthesizer melodies, the nostalgia in the lyrics and story, and that mixture of being exotic, like an Irish-type song, but at the same time being completely owned by ABBA. And how would you logically continue this joyful summertime mood on the album? Well, by breaking it, of course, by going into winter with little things. So we'll see you next time. Alright, until then, hey do!